Welcome to Bonnie's Beat. I'm your host, Bonnie Squires. We're coming to you from Radnor Studio 21 in beautiful downtown Wayne. And we'd like to bring you folks who impact our community in various ways, whether they're involved with a charity, with a university, a political event. And we have a very interesting guest with us today. He's an attorney named Steve Mendelsohn, and in his volunteer life, which takes up most of his life these days, he's chairing the Anti-Defamation League's Walk Against Hate on May 18th. Steve, welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Oh, didn't Mr. Rogers used to say that? Welcome to the neighborhood. So,
nice to be here.
This is which number walk?
Number 4.
Number 4, and you've been chairing it for?
I guess the last 3 years.
The last 3 years. They found the right person, and they stuck with him, right?
So far.
Now, the Walk Against Hate. Tell us what happens on May 18th, how people can get involved, and what's the point of the whole thing.
Okay, so the point of the whole thing. So on May 18th, we're going to be gathering next to the Art Museum in Philadelphia, near the new skate park that they built there at the start of Martin Luther King Drive. We're going to be assembling there for an hour, hour and a half. We're going to have what we call our Diversity Expo. The Walk Against Hate is sponsored by the Anti-Defamation League, but we've invited other organizations, other nonprofit organizations in the Philadelphia area to come and spread their messages of the good work that they're doing at our Diversity Expo.
They each get a table
to
distribute their information?
Yes, there'll be 20 to 30 tables, 20 to 30 different organizations that will provide literature and interactive activities for the participants in the walk. There'll be a stage with entertainment being performed, a whole wide variety of diverse entertainers from around the world.
Will you be singing?
I will not be singing.
Oh, good. Okay.
My daughter has volunteered, but that's another story. There'll be acts, performing professional acts, different organizations, dancers, drum lines. We got bagpipe players. We've got drummers, I mentioned, dancers, singers, performers, and they'll be entertaining during the Diversity Expo. And then we have our 5K walk along Martin Luther King Drive, up 2.5 kilometers, turn around and come back. And it's a wonderful event.
Are there prizes for the person who finishes first?
Everybody, last year, everybody got a medal.
Okay,
Yeah,
for participating.
It was pretty exciting, yeah.
Now, how many people were there last year?
So we had, it was a rainy day last year.
And not rainy, it was a monsoon day.
Yeah, it was a shame, but we still had 1,400 people show up.
Woo!
We're trying to get 2,000 people to join us this year. We think we can.
Everybody's going to do a sun dance. Pray for sun on May 18th.
That would be nice. That would be nice. We'll take that. But even on a rainy day, it turned out to be a wonderful event. We had a great turnout, different organizations coming out, different companies sponsoring the walk and bringing employees and colleagues with them.
Oh, people can form teams and can underwrite that team.
Yes.
What is the cost to enter a team in the ADL Walk Against Hate?
It's very modest, from what I understand, compared to other walks and runs. It's a $10 donation for an adult, $5 for children and students. And
what about if you bring your pet?
Dogs, cats?
Free.
Free. Dogs are welcome. Anybody want to walk their cat, they can come too. But yeah, it's a family event, and we're hoping it's growing into a community-wide event. If you check out our website, www.walkagainsthate.org.
Let's put that, oh, we got it on the screen.
Yeah, there you go.
www.walkagainsthate.org.
If you go to that website, you'll see a video prominently presented right in front of you from last year's walk. Click on that, you'll see 3 or 4 minute video from last year's walk. You'll see the diverse community involvement that we have there. It really is a special event, and it's something that we're hoping to continue to grow as a community-wide event to spread the word of the good work that the Anti-Defamation League does, as well as the other organizations who come and participate in our Diversity Expo.
I need to tell our viewers that the ADL has just completed their centennial celebration, been in business for over 100 years. Initially, the ADL was founded to fight anti-Semitism in America, which was rampant 100 years ago. Not that it's died out completely, but it's a lot better. But through the century of activities, the ADL has become the champion for Muslims who are discriminated against, for African Americans who are discriminated against, for Latinos who are discriminated against, for any minority or ethnic group that suffers from discrimination in our society. So there are lots of, as a matter of fact, we have a very prominent Muslim businessman, S.A. Abraham, who is a board member of ADL. So we try to save the world.
Yeah, even when the ADL was founded 101 years ago now, the mission statement was to fight against the defamation of the Jewish people, but not just about the Jewish people. It was
Right.
also to secure justice and fair treatment to all, because even back then, the Jewish community recognized that the Jewish community can only be safe when everybody is safe. And it's not enough for us to just fight for and against, to fight against anti-Semitism and for the rights of Jews, but for everybody. So 101 years ago, the mission statement was the same as it is today, and that is to fight against the defamation of the Jewish people, but again, to secure justice and fair treatment to all.
The Walk Against Hate is a natural outgrowth of one of the premier programs of the ADL, which is called No Place for Hate. And the Radnor High School and Lower Merion High School, a lot of schools, there are like 500 or 600 schools across the state that have earned No Place for Hate recognition. Want to talk about that program?
So this is a program that was actually started up in the Boston office of the Anti-Defamation League, and it's spread throughout the country. And it's been adopted in a big way here in the Philadelphia, Eastern Pennsylvania, Southern Jersey, and Delaware region. And as you say, many schools in that region are designated as No Place for Hate schools. It's not just schools, it's also communities. There are different townships and communities. There are businesses that can qualify as being No Place for Hate designation. For a school, for example, they need to put on 3 events or activities throughout the school year to demonstrate that they are a no place for hate. And the ADL will then award them that designation for the next year.
It's a big deal to get the designation because ADL officials show up at the school, there's a big assembly, they present a banner, they present all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And the kids really run with it because their inclusion and their diversity projects can take so many different forms and shapes. The creativity is remarkable.
Yeah, and it's up to the schools. I mean, the ADL can provide a list of suggestions, 30 to 40, 50 different possible activities, but schools come up with their own ideas. They share them with the ADL, and if it meets the standards, they're given the okay, and they can do those activities towards their designation. And I've been in schools where you see in the gym or entering the school in the lobby where you see 4, 5, 6 of these banners from consecutive years where these schools have continued to be and participate in this program. It's really a wonderful program, and it's been, I think, a blessing for the ADL in terms of name recognition.
Oh, yes.
You have kids who know the No Place for Hate program, and then you mention the ADL, and they go, oh yeah, that's the organization that, I see that on our banners in school. So it's a great program. It promotes all the ideals that the ADL stands for, and it's a way of getting school and community involvement. It's been really a very successful program.
The parents have to buy into this also. It's not just the teachers, the principal, the superintendent, and the students, but the Parent-Teacher Association also has to be part of this No Place for Hate year-long commitment. That's what it is.
Yeah, and multi-year. I mean,
right, that's true.
Schools come back year after year. It's gotten to be a badge of honor.
Sometimes the students who are very technologically advanced, a lot more than I am. They make little films, they make TV movies, they do Twitter and Instagram and whatever, and they harness technology also to enhance their efforts. No Place for Hate. That's only one of the major programs of the ADL.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other programs too. Do you want to talk about one that's very interesting and that I've seen up close a few times is the Summer Institute for Catholic School Teachers.
Yeah. There's a program called Bearing Witness that you're referring to. And it's a program, it's a collaboration between the Anti-Defamation League, the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., and the Catholic Bishops Association. And the program, again, throughout the country, and here in Eastern Pennsylvania, has a summer institute, a 4-day session right near here at the Dalesford Abbey, where 2-3 dozen high school and middle school Catholic school teachers come for this program. They learn about the history of Catholic-Jewish relations, the history of anti-Semitism, and they learn how to teach the Holocaust to their students. The Catholic school curriculum is really far advanced over what Pennsylvania requires of its public schools in terms of educating their students about the Holocaust and genocide in general. And this program, again, trains teachers to go back to their classrooms, and they're provided with a full curriculum that's been developed jointly with the ADL and the Holocaust Museum called Echoes and Reflections. And it's a binder about this thick of programs for teachers, a curriculum for them to present to their students. They can pick and choose what they like. It's really a phenomenal program. And then there's an advanced Bearing Witness program for graduates from that institute. They take a trip to Israel. A select group every year goes to Israel to further their education and commitment. And it's really a remarkable program. These teachers are wonderful people, and they give up a week of their summer vacation to come and participate in this program.
It's interesting because in a lot of schools, not the parochial schools, but in a lot of public schools, charter schools, private schools, the history teacher, they have like a paragraph for World War II. That's as much time as they have because they don't get to it till the end of the year because they start at like Beowulf, and they don't get there. But this is really intensive, and it teaches the teachers how to incorporate the awareness of the Holocaust and what prejudice does to a whole society into all their coursework, not just the history course.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's not just history teachers. There are
Right.
English literature teachers, there are philosophy teachers, there are ethics and religion teachers who come to these programs, even some science teachers.
They must sneak a math teacher in too, I'm
Every
sure.
once in a while, and there's been even a school nurse that has come and taken the program. And, they take those lessons back to the school and spread the word. And like I say, it's been a great program. They, by the way, the Bearing Witness team will have a team of walkers at the Walk Against Hate on May 18th.
May 18th.
Yes. So yeah, it's a phenomenal program of the ADL.
Now let's take a look at Steve Mendelsohn, attorney. Patent law.
Patent law.
When you were a little boy, surely you didn't say to your parents, when I grow up, I want to be a patent lawyer. That's not, you probably wanted to be a policeman or a fireman, a baseball player.
When I graduated law school, I didn't even say that. I didn't know what patent law was. I had been an engineer before going back to law school as a second career.
Oh, I didn't know that. Where did you go to engineering school?
Well, I went undergrad, University of Michigan, and then University of Pennsylvania for a master's degree in electrical engineering.
And what were you planning to do with that degree?
Well, I went to work. I worked for 6 years at GE when GE had an aerospace division out at Valley Forge, King of Prussia. It's now Lockheed Martin, but back then it was GE Aerospace. I worked there for 6 years building satellites.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was fun.
And then how did you make the transition to patent law?
Well, I wanted to try something different, and you don't have to take organic chemistry to go to law school. So I went to law school instead of medical school, and like I say, I didn't know anything about patent law, but people said with your engineering background, you should give it a try. And I did, and I've enjoyed it. But when I was graduating from law, you go to law school, everybody in law school wants to do something good for society. And you graduate from law school and you have all these ideals, and when it came that I was going to be a patent lawyer, I realized I wasn't doing anything terrible for society, but I wasn't doing anything great either. I'm just helping some businessmen and scientists protect their inventions, which is great. That's nice. But I wanted to do something else. So I reached out to a friend of mine, and he said, you ought to check out the Anti-Defamation League. So I did. When I graduated law school, I checked out the ADL, and I've been involved with them ever since.
Ever since?
Yeah, for
Many years.
Yeah, 23 years.
Where did you go to law school?
Back to Penn for law school.
Okay. My alma mater, but my degrees are not in law. Although when
It's
I
not too
worked
late.
when I worked at Temple University, I audited a bunch of law courses, but I thought about going to law school while I was working for Peter Leocoris at Temple, but I had a meeting with the acting dean of the law school, and Joe Struzella, terrific guy. I didn't realize he was a conservative Republican, because when I went to him in those days, and I said, Jim, I think I'd like to matriculate and go to the law school while I'm working here. And he said, well, no law firm would ever hire you at your age because they couldn't get enough years of billing. For, I probably was like 38 at the time. How the world has changed, right? And I said, well, I don't want to be a lawyer. I just want the knowledge that the lawyers have. So he said, well, you can just audit the courses. So I audited. I was a star in every class that I went to. I did all the reading,
Really?
all the papers.
Wow.
And it's tough because it's like another language when you're trying to read a law book. It's not like my English and French novels that I read at Penn,
Yeah.
So what can I tell you? So I didn't become a lawyer. I became an English teacher first, and now I'm a consultant in communications and fundraising, mostly for nonprofits.
Well,
And
it's never too late to go back to law school.
I don't think so, not at this point in time. But the courses at work was fascinating. It really was. And it's especially when I took the marriage and the family course, and I said to the professor at the end of the term, I said, why didn't I take this course before I got divorced? It would have saved me a lot of grief.
Well, it's different going back to law school after having been out of college for a few years. You're much more relaxed, and you're not quite as intimidated by the whole process, and you can enjoy it. A lot of the fellow students who had gone straight to law school from undergrad, they were just intimidated by the whole process.
And they didn't have time to eat or drink or sleep.
There's that as well. Yep.
Did you ever teach any courses?
No.
You never shared your wisdom.
Doing that now.
You're doing with ADL, okay. All right. The longtime executive director of the Southeastern Pennsylvania region, Barry Morrison, who lives in the viewing neighborhood
Yes.
of Radnor Studio 21's productions, stepped down after, like 27 years, something remarkable.
I think even more, yeah.
But he's still going to be around. He's going to be available. But Nancy Barron-Bear, who's also a mainliner, was his deputy. She's the interim executive director.
Right.
And she's an attorney, but she didn't care for practicing law, and she wanted to do something just the way you did.
Yeah.
And she's been with ADL for a long time, and she's fabulous. And the emails keep coming, and the programs keep going.
Yep. Nancy is holding the fort until a replacement can be found. She was not interested in that position, from what I understand, but she'll continue to do a fantastic job, and it actually gives the group of people who are looking for a replacement for Barry time to take their time and hopefully get it right.
Yeah, they're doing a national search.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to replace somebody like Barry, who
Yeah.
was the go-to guy for every mayor, every governor, every corporate leader. And that's something else that ADL does, which is amazing. When they have their Americanism Award dinner, they have an ad book that's like thicker than what the telephone directory used to be. It's just astonishing the reach that they have with corporate leaders. But there are many corporate leaders who, even though they're not Jewish, they're very involved with ADL. They get their employees to volunteer with these No Place for Hate programs, with tutoring, and so on. And a lot of them, like Bill Sasso, Stradley Ronan, he's just an amazing guy. He really is. He's won all kinds of awards himself. He's also been honored by ADL for the work that he does.
Yes, absolutely. I think he's very interested in some of the early childhood literacy programs that the ADL is involved in. I think it's called the Miller program that, again, promotes and advocates for literacy programs for children, pre-K education. I think Bill is involved in that.
We hope that the governor's budget proposals carry through to the final budgeting it'll probably be passed on June 30th, because there's money for pre-K. Representative Jim Roebuck, who is the minority chairman of the House Education Committee, he's the one who pushed under Rendell to get funding for all-day kindergarten, to get smaller class size, to get money for early childhood education. And we're starting to see some of those programs come back, although they were cut, unfortunately, in the first couple of years of Governor Corbett's budget.
Well, there's nothing like a re-election to
Yes.
help some of the policies get straightened out.
That's true. That's true. We see every day, we see something. Oh, this is a reversal, but this is a good reversal. We'll cheer for
take
this.
it.
We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll march on our legislators and say, vote yes on this. Make sure this is included in the final budget. Absolutely. I wish we could honor Sylvester Stallone, because with his premiere on Broadway, of Rocky, which seems to be getting good reviews. It just opened like the night before we're taping this is when it opened, and the publicity nationally, oh my goodness, with Stallone and Burt Young, on the red carpet, and people still running up the stairs of the art museum. I always am praying that someday they'll put the Rocky statue back at the top of the steps. I remember
Really?
when it was
Yeah,
at the top of the
okay.
steps.
Well, speaking of those steps, on May
Yes.
18th, you can run up those steps and then run back down and then come join us right next door at the Walk Against Hate.
And you can have your picture taken with the Rocky statue at the bottom of the steps.
There you go.
As you're facing the steps to the right.
With a guy dressed like Rocky.
Oh, okay.
Oh, every Sunday he's out there.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that I didn't
He'll be
know.
out there May 18th. We should get him to come to the walk.
That's funny. And gee, but the ADL is involved in so many things, and they file a lot of legal briefs in support of cases where there's been discrimination against someone, or where someone has been unjustly kicked out of a school, or not, there are a lot of cases that the ADL gets involved in, court cases, locally, statewide, but also nationally. And the national executive director, Abe Foxman, who's an institution, he's been there forever, and you always see him on MSNBC, and he's a Huffington Post regular contributor. But he's announced that in June of next year, 2015, he's going to retire.
Yep.
Although he's written so many books, I'm sure that he's got 3 or 4 books that he doesn't have the time to write yet. And once he retires from running the national ADL, then he'll sit down and he'll write some more books. And he'll always be a pundit, because they love to interview him. And the thing I like best about Foxman is that every once in a while, when he makes a mistake, as we all do, and he backs the wrong horse, he'll go public and he'll apologize. You've seen that a few times.
What I like about Abe is that he lets other people apologize when they've made mistakes, and apologize for their own mistakes. He's the first one to say, you know what, we appreciate that, we'll accept that apology, and let's move on. He doesn't
Punish people.
He doesn't punish people for their past transgressions. When they see that they've made a mistake and they step up and admit, he's the first one to accept their apology, and that is a lesson that I learned watching him, from the distance that we are, but watching him as the leader of this organization. And he's going to be a difficult one to replace as well.
Very difficult.
And the organization is going to, there are organizations where the leader develops into the persona of the organization itself, and it'll be interesting to see how the ADL moves forward and who the next leader will be.
Because Foxman has been the spokesperson for ADL for as long as I can remember.
He's been with the organization, I think, 50 years.
Yeah, and his backstory of being a child in Europe, and the Catholic nanny
Right.
raised him
Right.
and saved his life.
Yes.
And then he came to America, so he's always had this dual allegiance. He knows he's Jewish, he acts on his Judaism every day, but he also, that's why there's such strong ties between the Catholic Church in America and also, in the Vatican, because he's been many times blessed by the popes.
That's the most remarkable thing, frankly, about this Bearing Witness program, is to see the progress between Catholic-Jewish relations over the last 50 years, knowing what the situation and the history has been for the previous 2,000 years. It's really been remarkable, from Nostra Aetate in the early 1960s through John Paul II, and obviously the current Pope.
Pope Francis.
Yeah.
I hope he does fulfill the obligation that his predecessor made to bring this world gathering of Catholics to Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't that be exciting? And I'm sure the ADL will be right up front in greeting him, right?
Well, we'd be happy to join him. Yes, absolutely.
And have him for Friday night dinner.
There you go.
So what's next on your agenda besides growing the ADL Walk Against Hate to 2,000 walkers this May 18th? The next thing.
Well, there'll be a fifth Walk Against Hate the following May.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be involved in helping to organize that as well. There are always different programs, always different activities that the ADL is involved in, and I'll be there as well.
Professionally, do you belong to any legal groups or the Philadelphia Bar Association?
Well, there's an intellectual property law association, Philadelphia Intellectual Property Law. Intellectual property covers patents and trademarks and copyrights, so it's an umbrella organization for the IP lawyers in the area. And then there's a national organization, an American Intellectual Property Law Association. I'm members of both of those.
Are you an officer of any of those?
No, I can't say I'm an active member. I have my CLE requirement I have to get, so I go to programming, keep up on the advances in patent law and recent changes. They're good organizations, yes.
How old are your kids?
I have a 17-year-old daughter, well, about to be 17 next week, looking at schools now, colleges.
Oh, it's that
and
time.
a 14-year-old son.
Where's she looking to go to school?
She likes politics, so she wants to go to Washington, D.C., and she got Georgetown in her mind.
Oh.
So we'll see. That might be a stretch, but she's looking forward to giving that a try. We're going to visit my wife's alma mater, Duke, in a couple of weeks during spring break, take a look down there, and take a road trip up north and see some other schools.
I see bank loans in your
Yeah,
future.
how about that? Yeah.
Many bank loans, I see. Although President Obama is trying to lighten the load for students in regard to, the debt that they graduate with, because it weighs them down for years afterwards.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. There was just an article about the price of college education in our market. Oh my God, it's really unbelievable. Well, we want everybody to look at the website. Can we put that up again, please? www.walkagainst.hate.org. That's the ADL's big walk down on the Riverside Drive, the Martin Luther King Drive,
Right.
on Sunday, May 18th. It's called for 1 o'clock because there are other activities in the morning.
It's in the afternoon.
Yes.
Frankly, we didn't want to interfere with church, and we wanted to
Right.
again have the community. It's not just a Jewish event; it's a community-wide event.
Right.
If you check out the website, check out that video from last year. I think you'll see and appreciate what we're trying to do here.
Our guest has been Steve Mendelsohn, who is the chair of the ADL Walk Against Hate, and we'll see you all next week.